Hey guys, how's it going? It is me. Today I want to cover. We did this, and we need to do third time frame. Okay, let's do third time frame. So uh, there's a issue that came up recently. It's come up over and over again throughout the years, but essentially it's when the third time frame in the inspection contingency is about to elapse, and the parties are still negotiating, um, but we need more time to negotiate. But the deadline for that third time frame is about to expire. What do we do? How do we handle that? So, I guess first thing is the three time frames in the inspection. The first time frame, of course, is the deadline for the buyer to complete the inspections, draft the RE10, the inspection contingency notice, and deliver that inspection contingency notice to the listing agent. Delivery is what is the deadline there. You must deliver the RE10 to the listing agent by the expiration of the first inspection contingency timeline. The second inspection contingency timeline is the timeline for the is the deadline for the seller to reply to the buyer's repair requests. So if the seller agrees to make all the repairs, they sign the buyer's RE10, they send it back by the second deadline, and everything's great. Inspection contingency is satisfied because the buyer and seller have reached a meeting of the minds in writing, and you're done. Or the seller may decline to make one or more of those repairs, or the seller may not respond at all. So those are really the three options in that second time frame. The seller can agree to all the repairs, the seller can agree to some or none of the repairs, or the seller can not respond at all. If the seller doesn't respond at all, or so if the seller doesn't respond at all by that expiration of that second timeline, the seller is considered to have rejected the repair requests. If the seller responds within the time allotted and agrees to make some of the repairs, or says in writing they won't make any of the repairs, then that's the seller's response. Either way, either due to the expiration of that time frame without a response, or once the seller's response is received, agreeing to only some or none of the repairs, that then begins the third time frame. And the third time frame, having received from the seller their written notice that they're agreeing to only some or none of the repairs, having received that notice from the seller, the buyers now have the option of agreeing to proceed with the purchase anyway, or deciding to back out, get their earnest money back, and walk away at no cost and no liability whatsoever. So the seller's only agreed to make some of the repairs. The seller has agreed to make none of the repairs. Do you guys want to proceed anyway, or do you want to back out at this point, get your earnest money back, and we'll go find another home? That's generally the conversation that you can have. But of course, a wise agent is going to not make the issue so black and white like that. A wise agent and a wise buyer will use that third time frame for continued negotiations, right? So nothing prevents us from going back to the seller and saying, hey, you won't agree to make any of these repairs. How about you just do, item 1 and 7 and 8, and we'll take care of the rest after the closing. So you can continue the negotiations, and that's oftentimes what that third time frame is used for. And there's a situation that often occurs where that third time frame, which is being used for these ongoing negotiations, is delayed or is used for gathering additional information. So yeah, the seller might be willing to do item number 7, but they want to check with the contractor first to see how much it's really going to cost. So there's productive communication happening, and we're doing some research gathering to the seller's doing some research gathering to see if the costs are affordable there. But the contractor can't get out until Wednesday, and the third time frame is scheduled to expire on Tuesday. And so what do we do in that scenario? Because if that third time frame expires and you have no signed RE10, or if you have no extension of the third time frame secured with an addendum, so if that third time frame elapses without something being in writing, then the inspection contingency is automatically satisfied, and the buyer at that juncture is obligated to proceed with the purchase without any repairs being made whatsoever. So you could actually have a nefarious seller and or listing agent arguably pretend, not arguably, they could either intentionally or maybe they just figure it out that hey, while we were negotiating, that third time frame elapsed, and because we didn't have an addendum extending that time frame, and because we don't have a fully signed RE10, the inspection contingency is satisfied, and so we don't need to worry about this anymore because the buyer is now obligated to proceed with the purchase without any repairs being made, right? So that's a bad situation, right? You don't want to be on the buyer side of a transaction, have that third inspection time frame elapse without a signed document in hand, fully signed document in hand, to find yourself in a position where you have to go to your buyer client and tell them, whoops, we missed the deadline, you're obligated to proceed, and now you're not even getting those 3 items they agreed to do, you're getting nothing because we missed that deadline. Very, very bad position to be in. Even worse position to be in is if you had structured for the earnest money to become non-refundable and to be released to the seller. That doesn't happen automatically, but sometimes in contracts we will build that into the contract to make the contract stronger, right? To make the offer stronger. Upon satisfaction of satisfactory appraisal and inspection, the earnest money to be released to the seller and made non-refundable. So that would even exacerbate the issue, right? So bottom line, and the reason for this stream is to give you guys the following language. So what we're going to do is we're going to remember that, and you usually don't know this is an issue until like a day or maybe 2 before that third time frame, before that third inspection time frame is about to elapse. So what you'll start with is an addendum that simply says buyer's time frame. Check this, make sure it's not an emergency. Generally what you want to do is reference the line number. So let's go to Atova Central, Resources tab, and then let's click on the RE21. Let's bring that up here. And what we've got is in the inspection section, which is right here. So here's the first timeline to submit the repair requests. Here's the seller's timeline to response, and here's the buyer's timeline to decide whether to proceed or to terminate. So we can say line 216. Buyer's timeline. Okay, they just said thank you. All right, buyer's timeline, line 216. So we're going to say here, buyer's time frame for response on line 216 of the purchase, say RE21 purchase and sale agreement. Buyer's time frame for response. We'll bold that so it's easier for you to read. Buyer's time frame, and if there's two buyers, it of course would be buyers with an apostrophe afterwards. Buyer's time frame for response on line 216 of the RE21 purchase and sale agreement to read same message. To read, so let's say it said 3 days, we just say 5 business days. So it gives us the extra couple of days that we need to get the response, right? So once we realize that, okay, that third time frame for inspection is going to elapse on Tuesday at 5 p.m., but the seller just said that before the seller can make the listing agent just said that before the seller can make a decision, that they want to get a figure from a contractor that can't get out there until Wednesday. So once we know that we're going to need more time, we can immediately draft an addendum number 1. So you use the addendum form and put this language on it. And that's it. That's all that you need. Buyer's time frame for response on line 216 of the RE21 purchase and sale agreement to read 5 business days, or you could just say to be 5 business days. So if you have enough notice, you could send this over a couple days before, and as long as the seller signs it and you get it back before 5 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday, when that third time frame expires, you're good. But, and this right here is the entire reason I'm doing this stream. What if either A, you gave this addendum to the listing agent, on Monday, but at 4 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday, you still don't have it signed back from the seller? Or what if we didn't know that we needed more time until the last minute, right? So what if it's Wednesday at 3 or 4, and we're just finding out now for the first time, an hour or two before that third time frame expires, we're finding out for the first time that we need more time. So what do you do in that instance? So you do 2 things. If it's the former, you sent it over 2 days ago, you still don't have it signed. Or if it's the latter, we're just finding out at the last minute. Either way, attach this addendum. So if you sent it 2 days ago, it's okay. Attach it to the addendum again now. If you're just finding out at the last minute, draft this addendum and attach it to the email now. So either way, this email is going to have this addendum with this language attached to it. And you're going to put in the body of the email, please accept this email as written notice that the buyer is terminating the RE21 purchase and sale agreement pursuant to the inspection contingency. And then, so we'll start with like agent name. Please accept this email as written notice that the buyer is terminating the RH1 purchase and sale agreement pursuant to the inspection contingency. And then you would say, please note that this is simply a formality in order to protect my client's earnest money. Once we have the signed addendum extending the inspection time frame, the buyer is prepared to rescind this termination notice and continue together towards a successful closing. Again, the buyer does want to continue to work with the seller in finalizing the repair requests and still intends to purchase the property. We just need to get that addendum signed. And then thanks, and then your name. Something like that. So it's designed to be, whoa, get rid of those bullet points. It's designed to be a friendly type deal, because we're doing a this part right here is what protects the client's earnest money, because you have technically terminated prior to expiration of that third time frame. And I suppose that's the last important piece here, is that this email with this email body, this email along with that attached addendum with this language, as long as you press send on that email at 4:59 p.m. or before on that last day of the third time frame, then your client's earnest money is protected. So this paragraph protects the client's earnest money. These two paragraphs establish the true intention of what we're doing, and it's kind of the best of both worlds. So just remember, if you're ever in that position where you're up against a hard deadline of that third time frame, this is how you deal with it. I suppose you could skip this third paragraph. It's just kind of redundant. So agent name, please accept this email as written notice that the buyer is terminating the RE21 purchase and sale agreement pursuant to the inspection contingency. Please note that this is simply a formality in order to protect my client's earnest money. I'd probably change that to the buyer's earnest money. Seems more friendly. Please note that this is simply a formality in order to protect the buyer's earnest money. Once we have the signed addendum extending the inspection time frame, the buyer is prepared to rescind this termination notice and will continue together. We look forward to continuing to work together towards a successful closing. Agent name, please accept this email as written notice that the buyer is terminating the RE21 purchase and sale agreement pursuant to the inspection contingency. Technically, this can be capitalized because we are dealing with a formal section of the contract that is so named. Agent name, please accept this email as written notice that the buyer is terminating the RE21 purchase and sale agreement pursuant to the inspection contingency. Please note that this is simply a formality in order to protect the buyer's earnest money. Once we have the signed addendum extending the inspection time frame, the buyer is prepared to rescind this termination notice. We look forward to continuing to work together towards a successful closing. Thanks, your name. Buyer is a named party to the contract and should be capitalized everywhere. And that's it. So that email, and I guess if you haven't, if you've already sent it previously and you just don't have it signed back yet, here you could say something like, I have attached another copy of the addendum extending the inspection time frame. Once we have that document back signed from the seller, the buyer is prepared to rescind this termination notice. If we're sending it for the first time, we would say, please find attached an addendum extending the inspection time frame. Once we receive the signed addendum back from the seller, the buyer is prepared to rescind this termination notice. We look forward to continuing to work together towards a successful closing. All right, so that's it. That's pretty much how you handle it. Just remember that when you're in that third time frame, you may be working really constructively with that other agent, right? It feels like things are coming together, and we're getting a bid, and as long as the bid comes in okay, it looks like the seller is going to agree, and so you're feeling like everything is on track. And then the next thing you know, you forget about that 5 o'clock hard deadline, and instead what you get is a call from the listing agent that says, oh, hey, guess what? I'm dealing with a savvy seller, and they realized that the inspection time frame has expired, and we don't have any signed agreement. We don't have an assigned extension, and so the seller has said that they're expecting now the buyer to proceed without any repairs being made, and they just cut off negotiations and they start playing hardball. You don't want to find yourself in that position. So always be conscious of the expiration of that third time frame, and when you find yourself in this position, this is how you deal with it. So anyway, hope that helps. If you guys have any questions, you know who to call. I am always available and happy to help. Until next time, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.